Alright everybody, you're seeing the first footage we have on a fancy digital camera here on the channel. So, that being said, the phone is not going to be used. It's going to be in my pocket this whole time. So, the first thing here we're going to figure out with this 12-volt conversion is our generator, alternator, adapter bracket that converts the original mounting positions down to an alternator to be used. I have no idea if this will actually fit. It says it is universal. The first thing we're going to do here is get off this remanufactured generator from the last little video with the Chieftain to see if this adapter bracket will even work. There's going to be a lot of trial and error in this video, so we're going to see how far we get with that. So I'm going to get the thing off and show you guys what's going on. Just to show you guys what the original mounting brackets look like here in the car. You can see the generator pivots off. That one there, a back one, is the PCV breather cap there, oil fill cap right there. And then there's going to be a front one here. That one actually, yeah, that's part of the engine block as well. And here's our alternator pivot. So this thing swings up like this and tensions the belt on this here pulley. So what we're doing is removing that and going to be fitting our adapter bracket, which should squeeze around or fit into there somehow. One way or the other, we're going to find out. So do a quick glance of what that looks like for you guys who might not be familiar with that. Alright, so we got the generator out, and here we have our universal generator to alternator adapter bracket. Zoom out just a bit here. So you can see it has a bunch of pivot points here. It can slide in, out. The GM alternator mounts with this, with the spacer right here. So first things first, trying to fit this into place. You can see in our current setup, we need this to be at least in line with the front pulley, and with our current setup, we have quite a bit of space around the back. You can see that from there. So, and even if I were to slide this up all the way, I still have about 1.5 inches of room there. So what I need to do here is take these two bolts out, this bolt out, and slide this up to our one spot so it fits tighter around our pivot point. So I'm going to do that exactly and show you guys what that looks like. Here we have the bracket moved down, our back one space. In this little position here, I can't move the back one at all. It's stuck in that wide position there, but the front one's still adjustable. So I'm going to drop this one down in here. And as you can see, it fits pretty tight in there all the way back, with the front bracket all the way back in there, like so. So this is gonna work, I think. So I'm gonna get this front one tightened down and get this thing put into place so we can get the alternator out and ready. Okay, so the bracket is all tightened down, ready to go. And as you can see, it should pivot just fine where it sits. Actually, maybe not. There's kind of an angle here to the way this front part is. It might hinder this from actually pivoting all the way up perfectly, but we might be able to get away with that. Also, this back bolt is kind of hitting there as well. That's definitely not good. Well, I'm going to put the back one in and see where that kind of gets us. It's also quite a tight fit through this bracket's adjuster hole. Okay. That bolt is through. Now the question is, will the front one even reach? So, bracket, the hole is not, okay, the hole is through. So I'm gonna put this bolt kind of in here. Okay, we have this much room to pivot, which is actually a little bit better than I thought it would be. So that's what it's gonna look like sitting in the car. So I'm gonna run these bolts down a little bit more. We'll set up this back one, get it straighter, and then we'll sit the alternator in there and see how good it lines up with the rest of our pulleys here. Hopefully it does it decently well. Okay, we're gonna tighten these bolts down. See how good this thing's gonna look sitting in there as far as pivoting goes. These are all just 1/2 inch. All this is gonna be in standard because it is an old car. I probably could have replaced the hardware for these mounting brackets, but honestly, no need to if they work just as fine as they did 73 years ago. We're already running into some spacing issues though with the sockets. Before I was able to put the wrench on the one side, the socket on the other, but might not be able to do this time around. Luckily this is a ratcheting one, so this should make quick work of this. If the vacuum line will get out of the way. This battery tray is not supposed to be here, by the way. Somebody added this in to fit a newer 6-volt battery in there. Not very happy with that because it is kind of blocking our working area here. That's pretty much almost there. As soon as it stops wiggling, I'm going to stop because we still want to be able to pivot when we figure out whether or not the alternator will be happy sitting in place. I guess it's one of the positive things of having a kit that has these things pre-made because, well, the kit for a fact, you know it's going to work. Doing a DIY, you really can only think it's going to work just because, you know, it says universal or whatever. Okay, back one there is tight. I'm going to do a little more actually. Just want to be sure. I'm going to do this. And with the alternator in the way, it'll make it a little more pain in the butt. Okay. A little loose there. That's what we want. Now I'm going to get the front. I should be able to put the socket on here. There's also one power tool that come really handy. I don't have any on me. Just all old hand tools, doing it the old-fashioned way. Which I prefer a lot of the time, but for something like this, for the internet, I wouldn't mind if it went a little quicker. See how good that is. Actually perfect. So you can see it's not flopping around. I mean, I can move it up like by hand like that. So that being said, I'm gonna go grab the alternator and we're gonna see how good that thing fits on here. From looking at it here, it looks fairly aligned, so let's hope that it is. Here's our alternator. Standard GM 10SI. The bigger, wider part here goes in the bottom. It rests in between this section here where there's this spacer there. And the top part, skinnier part here, will be contacting our tensioner part. I didn't know that moved. That's actually a little loose, but that's good. In fact, we'll probably have to loosen it more as this goes on. So, I can already tell you one thing. the alternators are way lighter than those generators. Those things weigh like 30, 40-ish pounds, it feels like, but maybe I'm just more used to holding alternators around in boxes as opposed to generators. And the reason they're so heavy because they're literally over like a half-inch thick cast iron case. It's ridiculous if you ask me, but okay. So there's how long that pin is there. And there's our spacer. So I'm gonna slide this guy in there. Clear this vacuum line for the vacuum advanced distributor. This thing actually might be in the way. This battery tray. Not even something I thought about. Okay, yep. This battery tray was totally in the way, so it needs a new home. I'm gonna find something to pry it off with. If somebody riveted this thing to the inner fender, not knowing this has caused me this much trouble, however many years later. But here it is, causing me problems. I can just bend it out of the way. Oh wait, here we go. There we go. You see what I did there, but this, they didn't use the old battery tray for the really long battery. So I just literally bent it out of the way by hand. I'm gonna figure out what size this bolt is here on the tensioner. And I guess so that pivots a bit. You don't want to get it too loose because there is, well, that's the water pump right there. So if you get it too loose, you'll be draining some coolant out. I'm not worried about losing coolant. I mean, it's easily replaceable, but I want it to be dry when I work, preferably. Okay. I don't have a 9/16 wrench on me. I'm just gonna pivot up by hand. Ooh, okay. Okay, that's actually perfect. This is up quite a ways, so we're gonna hope that it clears this thing. So far, no. Here we go. Okay, is that in the spot? A couple things to note. The original battery tray is hitting the alternator. That smells like coolant. But it is in line with our pulleys, which is great. The tensioner situation is a little sketchy. This is not even anywhere near. I don't know if I can even pivot that up. So I'm going to take this bolt out. As far as these tensioners go, you can go to the parts store and just get like a curved one. I mean, they don't really have any in stock ever. You have to get them ordered. But I'm not sure how much of that tensioner we're really going to end up needing. I'm not sure how sketchy I can make this comfortably anyway. I'm actually going to move the vacuum advance line above and around this. The original one would have been metal, but I took it out for whatever reason. I'm not even sure if I remember. Oh, okay, I see that. I need to actually go and redo that. I have the spacers on the wrong side of that. Okay, so we have the alternator on the bracket in its current setup here. And first issue, our pulley isn't quite lined up to where it should be. It's about, I don't know, probably 1/4 of an inch off. from the rest of the pulleys. So as you can see, we need to be lined up with the belt there. It's not the worst. I mean, I could probably get away with that, but I don't trust it. That's just enough to make me uncomfortable. And as far as our tensioner side, I mean, we might be able to actually use this old one, whether that's on the front or the back. I do not know, but it's almost doable. But right now, I'm going to worry about getting the belt centered. If push comes to shove, maybe I can put a spacer in between here and here and just bring it up that much. We might also end up needing a longer belt. I don't quite know, honestly. This might be too short. Otherwise, the bracket fits pretty good, so that's definitely a plus. So the $40 I spent on that was worth it, from what you can tell. So I'm gonna brainstorm with this a little bit more and see where it gets us. But so far, it's not bad. It could be a lot worse, I suppose, but we got some other things we gotta fit on there as well. So we'll get there when we get there. Okay, about 20-ish minutes later, not 20. Okay, about 10 minutes later, I've kind of figured out, devised a little plan here. So first, I kind of figured out using the old tensioner bracket, kind of where my alternator needed to sit. As you can see here, I mean, pretty much right on the money as far as the belt alignment concerns. So it's perfect there, right? So right now, this is just resting on this alone. And what I'm going to try to do here is figure out, I just have this, the bottom part loose where the alternator actually mounts onto, and I have these two pivot points just loose. So I'm going to try to mess with this a little bit and see if I can figure out how to get this bracket to mount flush up against that, if this were able to sit up flush against that, something like that, something close to that. I think I can pivot that on that point there and slide that back and forth and make something work and at least get one bolt through. That way we know we're actually anchored down and have somewhat of a chance. And then if I can get that to go, take the alternator back off, tighten up the two that actually mount on this side, and then finish off that and hopefully have something that'll work here. But otherwise, using the stock pulley or the stock tensioner there, that's perfect. So hopefully I can get this to work like that. So, all right guys, as you can see, I got one bolt started right there, which means that this thing is flush enough. And believe it or not, this actually is almost perfect. I mean, this thing's right in line with this. This is about the same distance that the generator was from the belt and the rest of the pulleys. So this might be working out a lot better than I thought it would. So as long as I have at least one bolt in here, I will honestly be okay with how this tensioner will sit. But I'm going to get that one tightened down, see where our other bracket half lines up, remove this out of the way, and get to that other side and tighten that down to make sure we have something pretty secure. But honestly, this right here is just about perfect. So I'm very happy with how this is turning out so far. So as you can see, that's first step into the 21st century right there in this rusty old engine bay. What I'm most excited for, though, is getting rid of that piece of crap voltage regulator hanging out in the firewall. That's going to be very exciting to see going, because I'm tired of dealing with that, especially. But yeah. Okay, so we have all the bolts tightened down. I guess not all of them. There are still two that are remaining that were supposed to go, and at least two more spots. There's two lengths. There's a longer one, sorry, and a shorter one here. The longer ones are meant to go through 3 layers of metal, right? Like, I see, yeah, just 3 layers, and then the shorter ones go through 2. As you can see, I only really needed to use the short ones. This long one I put here for some reason. I guess I wasn't paying attention. But ideally, you probably want to have at least 2 bolts through each section. I only could fit one on the back. If you look right here, you can see that I don't have another clear path going all the way through every bracket, so we're kind of stuck with just the one, but I'll take it. The front one has 2 bolts going through it though, so yeah, I think this is going to work really well. So I'm going to put the alternator back on there, see where it lines up on our tensioner side, and then see if I can fit the original size belt on here, which would be great if I could. But yeah, we're going to find out here, so we'll see what happens. Okay, a little while longer after kind of going back and readjusting some screws and everything. Here's where we sit. If we want to use the original tensioner pulley, I'm going to have to cut it down just a bit. The only thing preventing me from going any further is the fact that I cannot get my my bolt that holds it in place through. There's just not enough room for me to clear this. So either I drill some space off right there for the bolt to fit through, this guy right here, or I can go over here and kind of grind kind of a curve into this so it clears the alternator more and actually kind of curves and makes contact with, leaves me enough space to put the screw through there. I'll probably end up doing that instead of just like trying to drill a hole in one spot in case I ever need to slack adjust it anymore. But as you can see, this lines up pretty good. If I had to be really picky, I might add a spacer to the fan, the alternator fan here. I might add a spacer there to make it go out a little bit more, but I'm actually pretty happy with how that turned out. Otherwise, the bracket, I would say otherwise worked and is worth the money. So on a straight 8 like this, Pontiac or Packard, maybe Buick, I have no idea. Pontiac for sure though, this works pretty dang good, and this is the stock belt size too, and stock tensioner, so I mean, and there's still some room to go here with the tensioner in case I need to, give it more taunt, or make it have less slack, make it have less slack. But yeah, so I'm gonna go find a grinder, get this bolt off here, and make quick work of this. So we'll come back when that happens. Otherwise, it's been only about 4 hours since I started the alternator bracket, but I think this is probably the most timely consuming part, is making sure this works, and this is the most important thing too, because everything else should just bolt in one-to-one, like the coil and the bulbs and whatnot. But also got to figure out something with this battery tray, because if I bend this back, I'm pretty sure it's going to hit here, so I might move this over more, or fabricate something else to fit our battery a little bit more, which is over there charging as we got a 9/16 wrench to put it on one side over here in the front of the water pump, and then the flexible socket right here. So that being said, ooh, that thing is tight. Like I said, I've never replaced the water pump or the gasket on this. The car's never, well, I mean, it's never say never, I guess. Okay, so we're already leaking a bunch of coolant out. That's great. That's not good at all. Okay, the bracket is loose though, so maybe there's a chance that I can, no, that ain't happening. That bolt is super rusty too. Yeah, it's leaking coolant. I just need to get this off, and then I can put the bolt back on once the bracket's off, so we can grind it down. It's leaking coolant. It's got a steady stream, but we have a bunch of coolant, so it's fine. Yeah, that bolt is very rusty. Holy Nikes. Oh man, it's like it. Oof, that's not good. Honestly, might need 2 of these. Oh my god. Okay, we're losing a bunch of coolant fast. This is just great. Oh shit. The flexible socket works good when it doesn't do that. Otherwise, it's not a great option. Oh, shoot. That bolt is just so rusty. It's probably going to break, which would not be good. Oh my god. Okay, almost there. Come on. Come on. It can't be that rusty. Oh, that is very tight on there. Holy crap. The longer this takes, the more coolant that we lose. I don't know if you could even see with my hand in the way. Not really. Okay, I'm gonna get this off, and yeah, you see that's leaking all that coolant. It's definitely loose, though. God damn it. These flex sockets need a tighter head on them or something. I should have brought out the electrical tape and just did it the old-fashioned way. God dang it. Oh, man. Almost there. Do not break. Please do not break. I'm not even sure how you even replace that bolt. I think you gotta take the whole water pump pulley off with the fan, because that bolt goes all the way through and it's very long. So I hope this doesn't break. That will ruin my day more than anything else would. Alternator's not happy getting coolant on it either. The dripping seemed to stop, which is, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe it's out of the water pump, or the fins at least, on that section. But we're almost there. We are almost there. I guess if it stops leaking, I can just leave the bolt out and just grind it and then put it back. It just sucks that this is how it has to be. But, I mean, if you're trying to work on a budget, sometimes you just have to fabricate stuff with what you got, which is kind of what we're doing. This whole car is just a fabricating project. That bolt's hot too. A lot of tension on that. Okay, almost there. Barely hand tight. Okay, the bolt's out. Definitely gonna spray some deep creep on there to kind of free that thing up a bit. Okay, there it is off. That thing is ancient. See, that bolt goes all the way through there. I got coolant on my hands now. Get you kind of in there to see. Leaking a bit of coolant there. Yeah, it's still dripping. I'll just tighten that bolt back now, otherwise we will go to the grinder and see what happens there. Alright, so here we are a couple days later after work and whatnot. Life happens. The bracket's shaved down. I shaved it down on the wrong side originally, so that's why it's so skinny up top and so skinny on the bottom. Normally I wouldn't be worried if it was so skinny on a piece of metal like this for anything else that's holding something decently heavy, but this is just for the tensioner side, so shit happens. Just pay attention to where you need to cut, unlike me. But it's done, and it looks pretty good, and that thing's tightened down. And I mean, our belt, I mean, it could be tightened a little more, but I mean, otherwise that shouldn't slip on the alternator or anything like that. Ooh, I wouldn't say so. This thing's a heck of compression. Oh wow, yeah. But there it is. So we got our alternator in. Looks nice and futuristic. Might end up putting a chrome one on there sometime. I don't know yet. That's more money to be spent. Did lose a bunch of coolant in the process. Not a lot of coolant, but enough to make a little puddle of antifreeze on the ground in front of the Chieftain. Take the cap off here. Yeah, it went down a little bit. You can't really see in there, but it went down a little bit. So that being said, next step here is going to be figuring out our wiring from alternator to our starter solenoid down in there and then into the rest of the car. So I'm going to start soldering up some stuff from here for our alternator plug, and then the wire that's going to go clear from over here to our starter solenoid and our battery positive on the old voltage regulator. So as you can see, there's that sketchy looking wire right there that runs down to the starter solenoid from the battery positive. That wire right there, we're going to be putting a fuse in. That's where our fuse is going to go. So I'm going to actually end up taking off or cutting where I crappily soldered there and adding a thicker wire from the starter solenoid there and adding our inline fuse. So I'll show you guys what that looks like when we get there. Otherwise, step one is complete. I can say for a fact that this works on a Pontiac Chieftain Straight 8. This particular bracket and pulley, bigger pulley, and the O'Reilly's 10SI alternator. So, and you look at the belt, it's maybe a little crooked, but honestly, that ain't flying off. And if it does, like I said, I'll put a spacer there, but for now, this is perfect. And this is all with literally the stock everything. So stock belt size and the OEM bracket, even if I did cut it up way more than I was supposed to. But she's holding, she ain't gonna break anytime soon. Belt's firm enough for me. So yeah, step one is done. So we are good to move on to some electrical stuff.